Do you struggle with giving into temptation? Are you a slave to your desires? Do you feel stuck, lost, and out of control? Well, in today's episode of The Rebuilt Man, I'm going to share with you the single greatest strategy for learning self-control, for learning impulse control, for learning how to not give into the temptations and desires that lead you back to making decisions that destruct your life. Guys, real quickly before we dive into today's episode, remind you who we are and what we do here. My name is Coach Frank Rich, founder of Rebuilt Recovery and host of the Rebuilt Man podcast. And it is our mission to help men become better men by quitting porn and rebuilding their lives. So if you're stuck out there and if you're looking for a group in a community of like-minded men, I want to invite you into our free school community called the Rebuilt Man. If you visit school.com, that's SKOOL.com/the Rebuilt Man, or click the link down there in the show notes below, you get access into a community, trainings, resources, tips, strategies of like-minded men all across the globe that are working together to combat this pornography addiction to become the men that they were all called and born to be. Temptation, desire, lust, urges, impulses. At times it feels like these things are beyond us, out of our control. We catch ourselves unconsciously, subconsciously, unaware of acting out. Whether it's with pornography, whether it's with video games, whether it's with scrolling social media, whether it's with food, or even sometimes our destructive thoughts can be impulses that lead us down destructive paths. But men that create freedom in their life, men that conquer their pornography addictions, are the ones that learn the skill set of impulse control. You know, there's a book written called The Marshmallow Test. It was based on a study that was done in the 70s at Stanford University, where they had a group of toddlers, a group of young human beings, all placed into one room. These kids were from all backgrounds, all demographics. And they told these kids, we're going to step out of this room here for a minute. Before doing that, they placed a marshmallow on the table in front of them. They said, you guys all have the ability to have this marshmallow right now. But those that can control it, those that can wait till we return, they didn't tell them when they were coming back. If you could wait till when we return, you could have two. Now they had videos set up where they were videoing these children when they left the room. Some of them instantly grabbed the marshmallow and shoved it down their throat. Other ones would play silly little games to keep their mind off of wanting it. They'd cover their eyes, they'd look away, they'd smell the marshmallow. Now there was a good percentage of them that actually had the ability to wait. They already had the skill set of control. They had the ability to delay gratification. Now what they did is they followed all these kids through grade school, through high school, and into their adult lives. The interesting thing is the ones that when they were children were able to control their impulses turned out to have greater success in every endeavor across the board on average in their life. So what this means is the number one indicator of success in anything in your life is going to be predicated by your ability to delay gratification. Now, what does this mean? This means that if you're trying to break free from pornography addiction, if you're trying to break free and transform another area of your life, but you're controlled by your temptation, you're controlled by your desires, and you act out even though you don't want to, the probability of you succeeding in that thing is lower. So you must build the skill set of delayed gratification. And I think for men that are struggling with pornography addiction, trying to build a skill set of denying your temptation in that area when you haven't built it in other areas is a recipe for failure. Here's what I mean. Our men, our program calls for a 48-hour fast very early on in the program. I want you to suffer. I want you to get into some discomfort. I want you to have the feeling that you want to eat and learn how to say no. Because once you've proven it to yourself there, proving it to yourself in other areas of your life becomes a whole lot easier. So the hack, the tip, the strategy is if you're trying to build the ability to delay gratification. If you're trying to control temptation in an area of your life, find a smaller area, one that is not going to be as insurmountable for you to accomplish. Prove to yourself, build the confidence in yourself that I can do this. Because then what happens is you take it into other areas of your life. You know, a few weeks back, I was on a coaching call with one of the men inside of our programs, and he was 42 hours into his fast. He was crushing it. He's had a lot of success, came in with a history of challenges in his marriage, came into a program with decades of pornography use. First couple weeks are going incredibly well for him. He was crushing the fast. But around 42 hours in, he got into a argument, for lack of a better word there, with his wife. Emotions started to run high. Anger set in. He was looking for a way to get out of those feelings and emotions. Now, credit to him, he didn't go look at pornography. But you know what he told me he realized? Is without even knowing it, he found himself in front of the pantry shoveling potato chips down his throat. He said, Frank, I just needed something to run from these feelings. I needed to escape the emotion that I was in. You see, sometimes we don't even recognize the patterns of our behavior. How do we use food to cope? How do we use drinking to cope? How do we use smoking to cope? How do we use pornography to cope? How do we use scrolling to cope? You see, every one of those things, if not intentionally done, becomes escape outlets for us to leave the present moment and get into a sedated state. Now, credit to this gentleman, because not only did he commit to not looking at pornography that week, but he actually, after recognizing what he had done, went into an entirely new 48-hour fast. So by the end of it, it was roughly 80, 90 plus hours of him fasting and just eating a few potato chips. And I gave him tons of credit for that, because that took a lot of strength. It took a lot of willpower. It took a lot of resiliency in him. And that'll carry him. That'll stay with him for the rest of his life. So, man, if you're struggling with temptations, if you're struggling with giving into your desires, giving into your impulses, try fasting. Go on a 2-day, a 3-day fast, water only. Get yourself some coffee. Do not cream it. Do not put sugar in it. If you need some bone broth to carry you through it, that's going to be okay. But the more you can suffer through this fast and prove to yourself that you don't need to give in, the more that you can suffer in this fast and not allow your impulses and temptations to control you, the more that you're going to learn, the more that you're going to grow through this process. Begin fasting on a regular basis and quickly watch your ability to not give into the temptations and impulses in other areas of your life radically grow. Guys, like I said at the beginning, if you're looking for a community of men, we've just launched our brand new free school community with men all across the globe. We're over 160 members at this point and growing by the day. You can join us 100% for free by visiting school.com, SKOOL.com/The Rebuilt Man. I linked it down there in the show notes below. But Coach Frank of The Rebuilt Man, we love you guys. We'll see you in the next one.